Hi, this is Randy coming at you with another knee-jerk reaction video review. Um, this is where I watch a movie and I review the movie immediately after watching it. So I don't look for metaphors and I don't study the actors and actresses. I just watch the movie and this is my gut reaction. So it's a knee-jerk reaction to the movie. And a lot of times when it's late at night, and you can tell it's late at night because I'm covering my messy hair. um, I will just go on to the streaming services and I could sometimes fall asleep looking for a movie to watch, and other times I'll just go on and I'll just see a movie and I'll just say be like, I'm not going to even think about it. I'm just going to click on this and watch it. That's kind of what I did last night. I went on to Hulu, I believe it was Hulu, and yeah, the first thing I saw was the Addams Family movie, the new CGI. I don't know if it's new, but the CGI Addams Family movie. Um, I don't recall hearing a lot of buzz about this. I remember seeing the previews and thinking, well, this isn't going to be fantastic or anything, but I did watch it. And, when I was a kid, I used to watch because I was born in 1964, and that's when the Addams Family debuted as a TV series. And I always loved that show because I only saw it in reruns, but I just thought that Gomez's he nothing could get him down. He was just always happy. He was always seeing the bright side of things, and even though like the bright side to him might not have been our bright side, but he was always just happy seeing things, and he was just so in love with Morticia. And at one point I had a coffee table book with all the original cartoons from the New Yorkers, and the cartoons. If you This is like back in the 30s and 40s that these cartoons were, um, but it was just about a macabre family living in modern times, and how and it was always modern times, macabre family, and here's the contrast between them, and that it was kind of like the Far Side, just here's some silliness and here's some nonsensical things. And um, I I don't know. I don't have an opinion on the original cartoons. They're just what they are. The 1964, like I said, I like that better than the Munsters. But what really blew me away were the 1990 movies with Raul Julia and Angelica Houston. Those were the epitome of the Addams Family. I will just always think of them as the Addams Family. So when I saw the CGI, it's kind of a reboot. It's not a continuation of anything. It actually has like a little bit of an origin story in it. Um, but I just wasn't. I'm like, how can you live up to the 1990s movies? And in fact, if you're on my channel and you look back, I did a video where I did my top 10 favorite movies and why they were my favorite movies, and one of them, well, a pair of them was the Addams Family and the Addams Family Values. They're one of the very few movies I can watch over and over again. I do take quotes from them every day. And, I just love quoting that movie. There's so many one-liners that are just so good, and the little cut scenes and the little snippets of their daily life intermingled with the overall story. I just think they're well done. They're silly and they're fun. Um, and I love every the acting. To me, Raul Julia and Angelica Houston will be the always be the epitome of Gomez and Morticia because they just nailed it. And so when I saw this, and I was like clicked on it. I thought, I don't know if I could watch this without comparing it to the movie. And actually, this CGI iteration is kind of, it took more from the movie and some from the show, and very, I don't know, I guess some things were from the comics, but not very much. It did reference things from the movie, um, but for one, it made Fester Gomez's brother again, and that only happened in the movies. Fester used to be Gomez's mother's brother, so he was actually Uncle Fester to Gomez, and now he's just Uncle Fester to the kids. And in the comics, they never explained it. He was just Uncle Fester, and they never said who he was uncle to. But so that was one thing they took from the movies. There was a couple other things. Um, so what did I think of this movie? I have mixed feelings about this. Like I said, I'm a big fan of the Addams Family, but uh, again, I can't watch this without comparing it to the 1990 movie. But the overall visual style, I'm not a fan of that. I think this was geared more towards children and kids to give them an introduction to it. There are pop culture references that I don't think are going to hold up to time. Um, there's a lot of social media references and references to the current shows and stuff that I don't think, 20 years from now, they might not understand what those were. Um, and then, like, the overall visuals, the visuals were taken more from the comics, and you can do more with the CGI than you can with the live action. So there were a lot of like the Ichabod tree. They did a lot more with that than you ever could with live action. It's just like sometimes it was way over the top for me because they did go like well beyond what any of the movies or series ever did. I did. The especially the town people. Like I said, I think this was just geared towards kids, and it had a Saturday morning cartoon feel to it. But having said that, there were a lot of times I've actually laughed, and there was things I'm watching, I'm like, I don't know if people will get that, but I got it, and it was just kind of a deep reference to something. There were some funny moments, like, like I said, this is a bit of an origin story, and they fled their homeland. Because of persecution, and there was a scene with the townsfolk with their torches marching on the Addams, and of course in this, now that they've settled in New Jersey, the townsfolk are marching and they got torches on their phone. They got a torch app and they're holding up their torch app, and little things like that you just kind of chuckle at. And but there were some funny moments that sometimes I think only an adult will get, but there's a lot of moments I think were made for kids and stuff. So I think this is a kids movie, so I can't really criticize it as an adult, but it's, to me, I don't know, it didn't feel like an Addams movie. I know in the movie they made Addams filthy rich. They had the gold of all the people they'd plundered and over the years, and that their family had plundered, and that in the 60s sitcom, I don't think it was ever addressed. I don't recall it being addressed. It seems like some episodes were them trying to raise money for something, which wouldn't make sense if they were filthy rich. But in the movies, it was made clear that they were filthy rich. They had the emerald Chinese finger trap and stuff. And see, I'm still comparing this movie to the other movies. In this movie, they escaped persecution and they found an old asylum to move into. The visuals on the visuals of the background and the visuals of the spirit of the house. The visual of the car, I just love those. Those were great, but these, the way they made the people with their skinny legs and everything is just, I don't know, it rubbed me the wrong way. But like I said, it had a Saturday morning cartoon feel to it. But yeah, there were some in-jokes and some jokes that made you laugh. And overall, I think I was entertained. I think this might be something that, like, you might want to get the grandkids, well, I have grandkids, to watch that are of the age that might think a lot of the stuff is funny. I did like the fact that there was no potty humor, there was no fart jokes, there was nothing like that. It was just pure macabre, but played for laughs. They never got too deep. I know in the movies there's a scene where they bury two people alive. That's kind of dark, but nothing approached that in this movie. And of course, there was like a message that was hammered in with a sledgehammer, and I could have done without that. They could have lighten that a little bit. The town that they moved next to is called Assimilation, and the kids sang about to be like everybody else, and that just hammered home like, oh yeah, the one thing the Addams family never did was be like everybody else, and they just hammered home the fact that yeah, this is what being like everybody else and being different in that situation is going to be like, and blah blah blah. But yeah, that was just so heavy handed. I could have done without that. But uh, again, it ended the way, at first I was like, what the hell? But while I was setting up the camera and stuff, I thought, you know what, that's how the Addams family should end. Um, they're the outsiders and the outcasts, and the bad guy in the movie ended up like being part of them, because that's what an Addams. They're not bad guys, but uh, they accepted this person like because of what they did. They acted like an Addams basically. So they had them fit in at the end. At first I was like, didn't they just vanquish this foe? And then, but now I'm like, you know what? I bet you this is the kind of foe they would welcome into their family. So it did make sense in that. But again, how would I rate this movie overall? And if you've watched my other reviews, I rate movies based on whether or not I was entertained. And I believe I was entertained. Um, like I said, the visuals kind of took me out of it a little bit, but overall, I chuckled. I saw things, and I'm like, oh, that's kind of funny, in a mental kind of way. But there was a few moments where I was like, oh wow, that's kind of funny. But yeah, I was entertained, but I think I would have been more entertained if I was like a kid watching this with a bunch of other kids, maybe. But uh, I give this thumbs up. Oh man, the one thing it was, well, there's some weird thing, like they gave Thing an eye, and it's like Thing never had an eye. Thing was just supposed to be a thing, and you never understood what it was or anything. But giving it an eye kind of made it more creature-like, and I don't know. That kind of rubbed me the wrong way. But that's just me comparing this to other iterations of the Addams Family, and I think if a kid was watching this and they, I don't think a lot of kids these days have seen the original Addams Family sitcom. The movie is it's going on. God, it's going on like 20 years old, 20, 30 years old now. So it's really, the first this generation's first foray into the Addams Family. And they might not understand some of the references. And that's what I kind of was thinking while I was watching. Like, oh, kids are going to think this is really funny, but they're not going to understand this reference because that's a reference to one of the movies or the sitcom. So yeah, I had mixed feelings, but I'll give it a thumbs up. I thought it was entertaining. It's good. It's something good to put on the background, or if you got a bunch of kids you need to entertain for an hour and a half. It was good. The voice acting was good. My cats are fighting. You have to pardon them. But what was I saying? The voice acting was good, and I didn't. When you watch the credits and you see all these stars, you're thinking, "Oh wow!" But you never noticed that. You never. At no point when I was watching, I was thinking, "Oh, that's so and so, and that's so and so." I never recognized any of the voices, so that didn't take me out of it. Sometimes that'll take me out of it if I recognize, "Oh, that's Kate Blanchett or whatever." But overall, I was entertained. This will be a thumbs up movie. Uh, just I always make up something for every movie. This is a 3 heads up out of 5 maybe for an adult. I think it'll be higher if you're a kid. So yeah, entertaining. I would recommend it. It's on Hulu. Again, I recommend it more if you're a kid. But adults, if you're really into the Addams Family, and I think if you weren't into the Addams Family, you're probably not going to get half the jokes or understand it. But if you were into the Addams Family like I was, yeah, you're going to get more out of it than someone who wasn't. So take that with a grain of salt. That's why this is kind of a mixed review. It's kind of in the middle, so it's kind of like 5 stars out of 10, or 3 out of 5, just something right in the middle. So that's where I'm going to leave it. on Hulu, and it just popped up. I just noticed it. Sometimes their algorithm doesn't show me stuff right away, but I just spotted it last night, and like I said, I was gonna go, and then I just went boom and picked it. Uh, so anyway, that's my view on it. I don't know if I'll watch it again unless I watch it with the kids, and I'll be like, "Hey, did you see that? That was from the show," and they'll be like, "I don't care." They might laugh at the other things, the kid being buried and stuff. I thought that was hilarious anyway. But anyway, Addams Family, the CGI recent version, I think it was 2019, so it's just hit Hulu. Um, has I can't remember. All I can remember is Chloe Moretz was in it as Wednesday. Um, Wednesday has like the biggest character arc. Uh, but yeah, the whole movie was about fitting in, which is always what the Addams Family has been about. But anyway, 3 out of 5. It's and watch it if you were a fan of the Addams Family or have kids. But I'm going to wrap it up. I'm repeating myself over and over and over and over and over and over and over. And take care.